COVID of 2019, flexi work is now recognized by ILO world over. So in Rivers State yesterday morning, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Rivers State, graciously approved flexi work for all local government workers, meaning that they can work from anywhere. They can work virtually, they can work remotely, they can work from anywhere. And he backed that up also by extending flexi work to all the newly sworn-in caretaker, inaugurated caretaker committee members for the 23 local governments. So as we speak, our members, some are working virtually, some are working remotely, some are working from home. And it's a welcome development because in the new world of work as enshrined in ILO conventions, flexi work is allowed and productivity will not be impacted. And that is exactly what is happening in Rivers State as at this morning.
All right, so you talked about miscreants, really, that you gathered from intelligence that miscreants were actually planning to hijack your protest. Could you identify who the miscreants are, and is it a claim that can be substantiated?
Thank you again for that question. When we got the wave, the intelligence that some miscreants plan to hijack our process and begin to cause mayhem across Rivers State, it's confirmed, it's affirmed, because some group of people came up to begin to claim that Labour is now political, whereas we keep saying it that we remain apolitical, we are non-partisan, we do not belong to any political camp in Rivers State. We only do our work as Labour, vying for the welfare and protection of jobs of our members. And then as a matter of interest, any matter that indeed will impact the public to the extent that our own interest will be violated, as a matter of interest, we step in. So we got that wave, and surprisingly, some people gathered together and started abusing Labour, that Labour is supporting a particular political group and have planned to come out to protest and all that, and they condemned the actions of Labour. And surprisingly, yesterday morning, people entered into the streets, and to our surprise, police that also warned that nobody should protest in Rivers State kept quiet. And group of people protested across the 23 local government, but because Labour did not get into the street, there was no need, because you can't begin to fight yourself. So there was no need to cause any mayhem. And the fact that they also protested in Rivers State across the local governments of Rivers State, and there was no molestation, there was no harassment, it's evident that there is peace in Rivers State. So that have also exonerated the government of Rivers State that there is peace in Rivers State. And we want to use this window to also inform people who may not know. The number one employer of Labour in Rivers State is His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Rivers State. People don't know that. He is actually the employer of all public servants. And when you look at both the public and the private sector, he comes as the number one employer of Labour in Rivers State. So he owes us a duty of care to ensure that he complies with ILO 5th principle that mandates him to create a safe and secured work environment to us as a matter of right and privilege. So he owes every employee of Rivers State, both in the public sector and private sector, that obligation. That people did not know. Some people don't know. And they tend to mix these things up with politics. So when we come up and we support the initiatives of the government, especially when it has to do with the welfare of our workers. For example, the magnanimity applied yesterday to approve flexi work, which we have requested some months back. So it's an indication that we have a governor who actually is an administrator that understands how things should be done. So when we're asking about who are the miscreants, the whole world already can judge for themselves who the miscreants are. Because you just go and find out for yourself. You can Google it. Who are the people in the streets? Maybe they are miscreants, maybe they are not. but you can judge for yourself. And we also have privileged information that they will continue their protest today because in their own thinking, they didn't succeed yesterday. So we are aware that they will likely continue their protest this morning, but labor is not in the street. Labor is collaborating and partnering to power progress together with employers of labor in Rivers State to promote peace, to continue to improve the IGR of the state, and to get the government and the private sectors to continue to also improve the working conditions of all workers and citizens of Rivers State.
If I understand you clearly, are you saying that there are no members of either the NLC or the TUC involved in the protests that took place yesterday, or the ones that are likely to take place today?
Not at all. We have made a categorical statement around that. No trade union congress, no TUC, no NOLGE, no labor officer or affiliate unions or labor center is in the street. We are matured. We just told you that we have to continue to engage stakeholders to ensure that the rights of our members is not being violated further. And that engagement has already yielded result, where the #1 employer of labor in Rivers State, His Excellency, Sir Siminalayi Fubara, the Grand Service Star of Rivers State, has agreed and immediately approved for flexi work for local government workers in Rivers State, meaning that they will work from anywhere, virtually, remotely, from homes. The important thing here now is that we will also measure productivity, and we have graciously also asked His Excellency to approve that we immediately begin to conduct motion study to prove that productivity of all our workers will not be impacted as a result of this flexi work that has been deployed in Rivers State, which is a good one because that's actually the new way of work globally all over the world. People, in most countries, even in Nigeria, especially in the private sector, you see organizations, they work 3 days at home in a week, 2 days in the office. Some work remotely. You can live in Nigeria now and you are doing a job in Australia. So Rivers State has now learned from the challenges that we are faced, which is manageable challenges, to now begin to align with global best practice, where flexi work has been deployed across the local governments. And by the time we finish our motion study and affirm that productivity is not impacted negatively but positively, I'm pretty sure that His Excellency will also apply that, approve for that to be extended to the state civil servants. So that's exactly what we are saying. No labor leader, no labor official, no union member is in the streets. The people who are in the street, Google it, you will see their names, you will see the videos, you see their faces. They are the people who are in the street. You may reach out to them and ask them why they are in the street, because we are not aware. But we are aware that they just want to demarcate Rivers State, which is completely misplaced because Rivers State have already moved on.
Okay. We saw some of them really, and they actually made it clear that they were former members of, even former chairmen of these local governments. But from what you're saying, doesn't it justify the police position, barricading the offices? Because what would have happened is that this miscreant would have hijacked your protest in addition to the other group's protest, and that may have led to, you getting into the hand of those calling for a state of emergency in the state. So would it justify the police position to ensure that there's no breakdown of law and order?
We have never condemned the actions of police to maintain peace and maintain law and order, to avert breakdown of law and order. We have never condemned. We were actually the first institution that commended the Commissioner of Police and the Inspector General of Police through the Commissioner of Police Rivers State for the actions, the initiatives they put in place to ensure that peace is maintained in Rivers State. We were the first institution that did that. And when we did that based on the fact that as at that time, nobody has violated our right. Police already they maintained peace and our workers were going to work and returning. But suddenly, for whatever reason, they now decided to lock us out. And we asked to say, why are you locking us out? And they say, oh, we are locking you out because we don't want clashes, we want to maintain peace, we don't want all this. But we said, for the past 2 days, prior to today, you are locking us out. This is what has happened in Rivers State. We are going to work, and there was no breakdown of law and order, irrespective of all the propaganda that people are carrying out that there is war in Rivers State. My brother, my sister, if there is war in Rivers State, even the people who are marching along the streets today, will they be marching along the streets? They are just carrying out misplaced propaganda to demarcate Rivers State, to make Rivers State look bad in the eyes of the world. And the Commissioner of Police Rivers State knows that there is peace in Rivers State. And we said, no, you cannot just lock us out. Please, why you barricade the local governments? Our workers have their badges, they have their ID card. When they approach the gate, you allow them access to go and work and go home. We didn't say we will start strike action from day one. We engage first and say, allow us access. It's only when they had finally insisted that we will not have access. We now said, okay, we will not issue you ultimatum that if you don't want to allow us access, we give you 4 days to allow us access, because there is peace in Rivers State. After all, come to Rivers State, go to all the south side. In fact, even in Abuja where you stay, in front of most of the parastatals, you see military gunboat, you see military armor tanks, you see military beats put in front of their gates, securing them. Does not mean that there is no peace in Abuja. You go to the airport, you see military checkpoints. Does that mean that there is no peace in those places? You come to the private sector, go to the IOCs and even the NOCs, you see military gunboats, you see military tanks, you see military beats in front with full war-looking military personnel deployed to protect those facilities. Does that mean that those places there is war? The same thing in Rivers State. If you decide to put police tanks in front and then put policemen to secure the environment, and you allow workers to go to work, this is not what we are saying. So here now, even in your office, I'm sure if I visit your office, I will see policemen at the gate, war-looking policemen with all the gadgets for war. Does it mean that there is no peace or there is war inside your studio this morning? The answer is no. So why is Rivers State different? Why will you now say that the same thing you are doing across the country, even in Aso Rock, go to front of Aso Rock, you see military personnel, you see DSS, you see all of them there. Does it mean that there is war inside Aso Rock? So why is Rivers State different? Why will you now barricade us and then lock out workers? Why?
Okay,
It's unfair.
can you just hold on? Last week, we saw videos of people, I don't know who they are now, chasing the local government chairman out of the secretariats of local governments in Rivers State. And you are saying there is peace in Rivers State. Indeed, I saw one video in which one of the cars purportedly belonging to one of the former chairmen of one of the local governments with the windows smashed. Now, if that happened, and probably that's the cause of the deployment by the police to the local government secretariats across the state, you are saying now that there is peace in Rivers State. It will seem that then it may be some tenuous peace. What do you have to say about that?
Thank you very much again, my brother, for that question. And like I said, we remain non-partisan and we will not allow ourselves to be dragged into politics. But in a typical workplace, you have what we call conflict, industrial conflict in a workplace. You have conflict between employer and employee. You have conflict between employees. You also have conflict between employers. Management can have their conflict and be having their problems. But the conflict that is usually very pronounced is the conflict between the employer and the employee. In this instance, We are interested in our members who work in the various local governments and their employees, and their employer is the River State government, the local government. That is their employer. Now, we are aware, you've already affirmed, because you mentioned that former local government chairman of a particular local government and all that. That's an affirmation, and thank you very much for recognizing that, because many people have refused to recognize that. We receive circulars from government, and the circular we receive is what we work with. We receive circular that the tenure of a particular group of persons, chairmen of local governments in River State has elapsed, and that the River State government has now established, first of all, the first circular was that we should work with the HLGAs, the head of local government administrations, that they are the ones in charge. So all our communication and relationship should be with them. We received that. And we don't have any reason to doubt that. The following day, or about 24 hours thereafter, we received the second circular informing us that going forward, that they now have in River State legitimate caretaker committee members, that going forward, we should continue to work with those people. We received those, acknowledged those circulars that came from the government. And then suddenly our workers went to work. And when they went to work, they noticed that they were being molested. But because we are peace-loving people, they reported to us, and we immediately commenced engagement. And now, to the question you asked, that you saw a lot of things in the social media and all that, those are social media. If you want information, talk to the Chief Security Officer of River State. Who is the Chief Security Security Officer of River State? That is the Governor of River State. And he has already made a statement. He made a statewide broadcast where he explained all that was happening in the state, and it's verifiable. You can go and check for yourself. We don't need to now begin to work against the position of the Chief Security Officer of the state. Then, some people came up to now say, no, our tenure have not elapsed. We will continue. Whereas the matters are in court. The right thing to do at that point is to pursue your case, because you have right to be angry. You have a right of opinion. You have a right to say my tenure have not expired and all that. We don't want to be dragged into that. But you go and pursue your case legitimately through the right institutions for you to do that. You don't do that by coming to begin to fight people. We condemn that in its entirety. We condemn that. So what you see that happened in River State is just people who wanted to take laws into their hands without following due process or the legitimate route to get that done. Look at what Labour did, for example. Why didn't we start from day one to get into the street and start also fighting? No, we said no. We are a responsible institution. So what we need to do is to engage, and we immediately started engaging the relevant stakeholders. And that has eventually yielded results.
It's interesting that you're you're engaging with stakeholders, and you have decided not to do the part of that would lead to violence or that will be hijacked. In a statement your Labour released yesterday, you called on those local government chairmen who are described as outgone local government chairman now to accept the fact that 3 years tenure has elapsed, and then they should allow Rivers people to live in peace. But listening to those who protested yesterday, they did say that there is also no provision of caretaker committee, to man the local government in the constitution. That is one. And then that even the state assembly had also, the Amehule, of course, a led assembly at the time, had also expunged that part of caretaker committee at the local government from their own law, the state law. So that is where the crux of the matter is now, because they think that is using an illegality to fight an illegality. That's the extension that the chairman are asking for. How would you respond to this?
Thank you again, my sister. You see, we remain non-partisan. We do not play politics. we know the tiers of government, responsible tiers, and legitimate tiers of government. As at this morning, the recognized tiers of government in Rivers State, we know. Rivers State is not the only state in Nigeria where governors are using caretaker committees to operate. No. Rivers State is not the only state in Nigeria where former governors have also used caretaker committee to operate. But we don't want to get into that space. Today, in the eyes of the law, and based on the circular we have received from responsible government institutions, Rivers State has only one governor, and his name is Sir Siminalaya Fubara, Grand Service Star of Rivers State. Rivers State has one speaker and one House of Assembly, led by Okojaja, Honorable Okojaja. That is the one we know. The local government today, the circular we have, and the institution we know running, managing the local government today in Rivers State are the caretaker committee members, ably led by responsible and qualified chairmen across the 23 local governments. That is the much we know. We are not interested in the cases in court because we are not party to those cases. We are not interested in the politics that is going on. We are interested in governance and dividends of democracy to our members and to Rivers people. And if you ask us this morning whether we are getting those dividends of democracy, our answer is in the affirmative, because we can stay here and begin to tell you the dividends we are already enjoying in Rivers State. For example, as we speak, His Excellency, the governor, the executive governor of Rivers State, is currently constructing 20,000 houses for our members. That project is at peak, is ongoing. His Excellency has promoted all local government workers that their promotion was stagnated for close to a decade and paid arrears. That is dividend of democracy and good governance for us. He has also increased the minimum wage of local government workers in Rivers State from 18,000 to 30,000. That is the dividend of democracy and improved welfare for our members, in addition to other benefits to local government workers. And then you come to the state. He has also promoted workers that their promotions were truncated for close to a decade and paid arrears. He has gone ahead in December to pay 100,000 Christmas bonus. That has never happened in Rivers State. For more than 1.5 decades, he paid. And then he has commenced aggressive renovation of the state secretariat, where for the last almost a decade was left, and that facility dilapidated to the extent that workers were not even using those facilities again. Today, that is ongoing. You know why we are creating this? Just hold on. Why we are saying all this?
We need to go now, so I need you to round off.
Okay, I'm rounding up. Why we are saying this is because people want to demarcate Rivers State, and they want to put labor in front as irresponsible. But it's not true. There is peace in Rivers State. Governance is progressing in Rivers State. The IGR of Rivers State has increased from 11 billion to close to 30 billion as we speak. So there is peace in Rivers State. We welcome visitors, we welcome investors. We invite all of you, even those of you in the studio, come to Rivers State, we will host you. You will see that there is peace. Only few miscreants who want to demarcate Rivers State and paint Rivers State as being unpeaceful, unrest. There is no unrest in Rivers State. There is peace.
All right, Ikechukwu, we thank you very much for